All right. Thanks for your patience. So we kind of worked on that. I've got if I can go ahead and share my screen.
Yeah, 1 second.
So I think this is probably for the most part going to be kind of what we kind of went through before, right before we broke. So I am going to be sending you Sikander, Appendix X, Appendix Y. It's just going to take, I don't want everybody to be waiting on the call while I do the paint stuff. So I'm
Yeah,
going to send either later tonight or tomorrow.
and
Um,
Appendix F as well, right? For the actual health insurance.
no, that's what I'm saying. I have the other two are easy because I have those and I can send them to you right now. It's the scratch outs on the health plan that are going to take me some time. So I'll like I said, I'll either get them done later tonight or it'll be first thing in the morning. But I at least want to go through the verbiage with you.
Sure.
So when I send it all later, because I don't want to, we don't want to bargain over email. But if I go through all of it with you now and send it to you later, then at least you'll have seen it all, is what I'm saying.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, let me know when you can see my screen.
Yep, great, you can see it.
All right, so I left what we had there before so you could see it in context, but we did a little bit of reworking of this so that this document could actually serve as the MOU.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think there's a lot of necessarily substantive changes in how we identify ourselves, but it gives a clear purpose. The purpose of this memorandum of understanding is to permit the timely implementation of agreed upon changes to the healthcare plan for the 2025 calendar year. Therefore, the parties agree to the following, effective upon signature of both representatives below. I don't think anything there is surprising. And then this is what you had pointed out before. We reworked the language a little bit and made it a little more cleaner and straightforward. Subsequent to the effective date of this MOU, the parties may continue to bargain the language of Article 12 as part of full book bargaining. If the parties agree to language that differs from the language set forth in paragraph 2 below, that subsequent agreement shall supersede this MOU upon ratification of the successor agreement. So that's a really sort of very legalese, explicit way of saying, look, this is what we're agreeing to for now, but we're still in bargaining. And if we make a change, then that is whatever we then subsequently change and ratify is going to be what it is. Knowing that the bay doors, in terms of making the change for plan year 25, like we have, I think we have 8 days or 9 days. So like we've got to get this done, but we can't abrogate our ability to bargain subsequently if we want to, because the contract says that if we want to get together and modify the agreement, then we can, if it's a mutual change. And then number two is just modification of the language as follows.
So
So the
actually, can we dwell on that for a second? I mean,
sure, go ahead.
that I mean, I that kind of differs from what I had understood you to mean. I mean, are you anticipating further bargaining on this article
No,
after?
no, we want this to be it, and we want it to be done because once the train's leaving the station, and we won't be able to make changes for plan year 25
Right.
after that we have like 8 days.
Okay.
So we don't want to make any changes to it, but we don't have time to
Okay.
ratify. Like we don't have time for you guys to ratify it either.
No, no. But I was just wondering why that part has been added specifically about that the parties may continue. I mean, I was understanding that this was going to be an MOU and also the TA for the CPA.
Yeah, it is. But the thing is, you have to remember that the way that we're able to do this is we're actually modifying the previous contract.
Right.
We're not actually TAing Article 12 for the new contract. So you have to remember that what we're actually agreeing to is modifying the previous contract, which is in its evergreen period because it's technically expired, but it continues until we come up with a subsequent one. And those will be the terms that dictate this insurance enrollment. And then, whenever we bargain next time will be whatever we bargain. But it's not, we're not actually substituting this for ratification. It still has to be ratified at a
Yeah.
subsequent time.
Yeah,
Okay.
it could even be something as basic as we need to change the appendix letters or something, like, or I don't know, like if there's something else that kind of is insurance related, almost like that language we had to strike out about Article 20.8, like something like that. We just don't, if there's something else that needs to be done, that can be put into the full ratified success agreement that's going to be ratified. It's kind of
Mhm.
the thought. But our intention is that we don't really want to change anything unless we have to change something minor, like the appendix letters or numbers or something.
Okay. You can continue. Thank you for that explanation.
Sure. So down to 12.1, your change here, we're good with that.
Great.
The way that you've reworded it, take out the name and leave operated by University of Florida. We're good with that one. We're good with your suggestion here about, you know, one of the things that the Health Insurance Committee is going to be doing next year is going to be to work on the dental coverage. We're good with that being in there. Like I said, I'm going to send you X and Y are already ready to go. I'm going to work on F and get that to you, you know, probably within the next 18 hours, to consider as part of this. So we're effectively good with all the comments here.
Mm-hmm.
We agreed to, and all those 12 points that we took them out. That's fine. We don't need them in there. I agree. It was a little confusing. It was an attempt to demonstrate what was being substantively changed, but because you're right that we're referring to the appendices anyway, so let's just let the appendices stand for themselves.
Okay.
So these were all good. This comment here was about the thing that we deleted, so that's all good.
Right.
All right, so we were able to get with Nadia on the Eagles. It does not count as dental insurance, so the 6-month lockout does not apply.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So in that respect, I think it was to Nathan's point, I think it's actually an advantage in his instance, in sort of his scenario that he brought up, because he wouldn't be locked out because it's not like an insurance switch. Nadia said that like the minute you get your card, you can go ahead and start using it. So
Right.
I think
I think
Nathan
that-
was not liking that Nathan had to get insurance and was locked out for 6 months. So if this was a real insurance, then people wouldn't be locked out if they encounter a situation like Nathan. So, but
locked out from what though? Who could?
So like
you don't-
if you were on Eagles and then you decided, actually, I don't like this, I'm gonna get a different dental plan, like on the open market.
yeah,
If when they get up to that new plan, they would still be locked out for 6 months.
because those insurers don't want you to just start with them and then do this huge operation immediately, right? They want you to pick up dental insurance when you need a super pricey thing and then
Right.
drop it. So they keep
Right.
that lockout period. But it's neither here nor there. We've said that we aren't a huge fan of it and we're hoping to rebid it. So I just wanted to explain what Nathan was getting at.
Gotcha. All right, so down here in 12.7, so we have, oh, this is not right. So I put it both. It says both. I shouldn't say both. We're in each of these, we are putting back for calendar year 2025. This is really something that we're willing to meet with you guys exactly on the rates that you guys want, but this is going to be one of those things that we're going to have to have this part of it, which is we're going to have to talk about it on an annual basis. So these all have duration of the contract is stricken in one. Again, it's doing the silly numbering thing, which we'll have to fix, but it should be 1, 2, and 3, not 1, 1A. But it's the same change back in all 3 of those components. Down here, we modified this a little bit. And we just said, shall be informed through their letter of appointment, just because we don't know exactly what Article 4 is going to look like yet because we haven't TA'd it.
Okay.
And again, kind of like to Olivia's point before, if we wind up having something more specific in there that we want to refer to, we could make another adjustment to this language if you want to reference. But we felt like to be safer, we think it captures the intent to just let it stand as an independent provision. This provision says they're going to be informed in their letter of appointment, irrespective of what we decide in Article 4. At this moment, we understand that you want them to be notified through their letter of appointment. We're agreeing to that. What we decide with Article 4 later, subsequent to this, can be what it is. But this will ensure that with this MOU, they're going to get the information that I think that you and we are after them getting. So hopefully
Yeah,
that
we're good with
addresses
that.
that. And we're good with removing this part here. And then again, as I said before, down in 1211, the annual reopener is one of the things that, like I said, we'll meet you guys on your rate request, but we're gonna have to talk about it on an annual basis.
So yeah, I think we should talk about that a little more for the remaining time that we have here.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would like you to explain a little more why that is such a priority. I mean, I want to just think about this a little practically in the sense of just think about how much we have struggled to keep the timeline with just the one annual reopener for Article 10.
Right.
And we are already also severely behind schedule for this this CBA negotiation, right? Like even in the best case scenario, we might be like a full year into like the contract period. So
Right.
how do you actually, like practically speaking, see this happening on an annual basis, given that, especially on your side of the table, you know, sometimes it takes 3 months at a time or more to get a response on some of these articles.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I mean, I think that's a fair criticism over the last 18 months. I mean, I think that, you know, the way the contract operates, if for whatever reason we find ourselves in that situation again, which is not a situation we want to be in, but if we are, then the previous language would hold. It wouldn't disadvantage you if we didn't get, if for whatever reason we didn't bring an offer, then the previous thing that you agreed to would still be in place until such time as we rebargained it. So, you know, and if it takes a long time and we don't get to it before the next window occurs, then the previous rates that we agreed to would be the rates that would be used.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that I don't think that if you know, if we were to agree to this, we would
Mhm.
not be able to have two two negotiations for both, for each Article 10 and Article 12 in the next 2 year period. I mean, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, and I think where we were thinking like a while back that we should probably be starting the full book negotiations earlier than the 3 months, which is listed currently. So, I mean, that basically means that, you know, the last year would be full book. And practically speaking, we can only really have this discussion basically once in the 3 year period. So that's why for us, I mean, I think we are also willing to meet you. I mean, I think I know what your answer for why this is so important, but you know, I think we're willing to meet you in the sense of the set that we are willing to reopen it once in the contract period, but more than that, it just doesn't seem like practical from a time standpoint. And maybe it will be like the next CBA because like maybe by then we would have sorted out all of these timing issues and we will be starting at the right time. But like we're already so you know, behind on this round of negotiations because we were behind on the last round of negotiations, and then adding another two into that process. I just don't see how that could possibly how that could feasibly work. You see what I'm
Well,
saying?
yeah, no, I understand what you're saying from a practical standpoint. I think there's a couple different things that go into that. One is, I mean, we could bargain more frequently. That's one option. But the other thing that I want to sort of draw your attention to is the current language in 12.5, which has been stricken and in one of your proposals, and we've allowed it to stay stricken.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
if
is that the one that allows unilateral?
yes, it allows us to do an increase without having to bargain it.
Right. So if I recall correctly, that was actually in your first proposal, and
Along with rebargaining it every year. So it wasn't intended
right.
to be, we said, remove it without doing an annual bargain. I mean, it was
Right.
pretty clearly that those
I
two were
remember that.
related.
I remember that. So I mean, again, I think that these are questions that are important and would be appropriate to discuss kind of a year down the line, but you know, if it comes to that, I mean, I think we're okay with putting back that language if it means not reopening annually, you know? Yeah, I think we're willing to give you that 5% leeway or whatever, but that I just we don't see the practicality of doing the annual. Once is I think reasonable, but yeah, doing it every year just doesn't seem like it's gonna work.
But I will tell you that it's relatively standard practice that people typically bargain insurance on an annual basis. Doing it once every 3 years is actually unusual as opposed to being normal. And if we need more time together to get it done, then we should spend more time together to get it done. I mean, being impractical or we don't have time is not really, I mean, I guess from the university's perspective, is not really a reason to not bargain the contract. And to the point of putting the 5% back in there, I'll tell you, if we were to agree to the rates and everything else that you all have proposed, and I think largely we've said yes to, it's probably not going to be 5%. We're probably going to need it to be more.
Like how much more?
I don't know, because like I said, our position has been, look, this is, we're good on the vast majority of the things, but the exchange is going to be, we want to be able to talk about it on an annual basis. We really haven't considered, you know, kind of going forward with the article absent of that consideration. I mean, that's the big one that we really need.
So essentially in these annual negotiations, you would be wanting to increase the premiums by more than 5%, presumably, if that's the case.
Or changing the plan design, or changing I mean, there's all kinds of things. Anything that we could talk about in this article is things, it's not just increasing the rates. But yeah, if the costs go up and the plan is underfunded, then yes, we would want to be able to talk about that.
So putting back the language of 5% or, you know, some other percent would not you would not see that as meeting you halfway to this annual.
I think in the context of the fact that we've actually, you know, given the rates that you all wanted, and again, we didn't even counter the rates. We just said, okay, this, you can go ahead and have the ones that you want. That, yes, we need to be able to, our position is that, look, we'll meet you on that one, but we want to be able to talk about this on an annual basis. And the percentage thing, if you really want to do it in terms of the percentage, then I mean, we can go back and talk about it, but I can almost guarantee you it's not going to be only at 5%. And just so that we're clear, that's not 5% calculated on the employee rate. That's 5% calculated on what they refer to as the per employee per month cost, which would be adding together the university cost and the employee cost, which I believe at next year is estimated to be about $330 a month. So, you know, it's not 5% of $17 or 5% of $12. It's 5% of $320.
But we would still be paying the same proportion, right?
No.
So, I mean, how okay, in that case, how would the employee contribution change?
It would, I mean, well, I mean, again, we don't have language, but hypothetically speaking, if we were, say, to agree to a language of, let's say it was 10%, then we would take the total cost per employee per month, multiply it by 10%, and then we would be able to add that on to the employee coverage cost that you all would pay.
So you would be able to transfer the entirety of that into the employee.
Correct.
Okay. Jacob, is this a clarifying question? Because I think we have a lot to discuss on our side.
Not really, no, but it's short.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I think this emphasizes that we would be better served to like agree to this reopener once and have like full-fledged bargaining around this like question as we like ratify the CBA, the new one, or in a year time when it has been reopened with the intention of hearing what the committee has to offer or something.
Yeah, and even like, I mean, I think even if we were to do it annually, right? Basically, there would be the one next year, and then there would be the you know, we would be doing full book again because we're already a year into it almost. So it would work out to being one, right?
Well, plan year 25, yes, but plan year, hang on, let me.
Then we would have plan year 26, which we would discuss next year. Then you'd have plan year 27, which would be part of the new CBA.
Yeah, plan year 20, we would have two reopeners, not one.
No, because plan year 27 is not, I mean, this contract is supposed to be from 24 to 26, is it not?
Right, so we're talking about, we would have the opportunity to talk about plan year 25, which is what we're doing now. And then plan year 26 ahead of full book, which would be plan year 27.
Right. So there would be one reopener in that period, which is not full book.
Right, but it would also set us up in the future to be able to talk about it on an annual basis. I mean,
Okay,
that's
but
part of it is
in this
operationalized.
contract period, it would be one time, right? Correct?
Right, and for, as you said before, part of that is because it's two things. One is because the contract runs on the calendar year, not the academic year, and two, because it is really late into the subsequent period, as you
Right.
sort of pointed out before.
Okay, I think that does change things for us a little bit on our side. We do have to discuss this a little more.
Sure.
But yeah, I'd appreciate if you could send those appendices and stuff.
Yeah, can we talk about our next time to get together though, Sikander, before we get off the call? Is that okay or no?
We can. I don't know if we can really give you anything at the moment. We haven't really discussed our availability as a team. And I think most people's schedules are a little in flux at the moment. But I don't know. I'll let other people speak for themselves. What did you have in mind, Patrick?
I mean, I honestly, at this point, I think this is really important to both teams. I mean, I'm willing to meet, even if it's only with one or two of my other team members, even if it's got to be, you know, in the afternoon or evening. I mean, this is something that I really don't want to, I want to be able to work together to get this done on time. And if it means meeting at an unusual time, I would be okay with that. I can't speak for all my team members, but I'm pretty sure I can get at least one of them to meet, even if, like I said, even if it has to be in the evening for something like this, because I think it's in both of our interests in trying to get a deal done before the deadline.
And the deadline you're saying is on the 28th.
I believe Nadia has the exact date, but I believe, yeah, really Wednesday, the 28th or Thursday, the 29th of next week is pretty much it.
Okay, we'll have to discuss that as well when we're
Okay, well, if you want to just send me an email, I will get, like I said, I have this and the two appendices are done. I'm gonna work tonight on the other one, and I will get that over to you by email just as soon as I can.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate
All
it.
right. My team, if you've got another 5 minutes and if you can go back to caucus, if you can't, you got to go, that's fine. Thank you, GAU.
Cheers, thanks, Patrick. All right, guys, let's head to the debrief.